the desert of the real.
Welcome to the Desert of the Real. I am your host, Ryan Hudson, and joined with me is...
Jason Deeds.
Trust him. I just found out that the poster for Indiana Jones 2 has a picture of Indiana Jones, and it just says, trust him. See? Like, I'll show you. It's right here. I don't think that motto stuck around for Indiana Jones.
No. I don't think it did.
We're bringing it back. I'm sure there could have been a funnier thing. Cover your heart! Or something.
Very funny.
Very funny. The Desert of the Real is a movie podcast where I forced Jason to watch big blockbuster movies he's refused to watch because he didn't think they were worth his time. He, of course, has seen Indiana Jones, but he hasn't seen them for a while. And he's become a critical thinker since he last saw them. So what does he think? Will he like it?
Dun, dun, dun.
We are two English language arts high school teachers with graduate degrees, and we attempt to use our academic training to dig deeply into movies. We explore the creativity, philosophy, film studies, and ethics in our films and push you, the listener, to think critically about your entertainment. Thank you for being here.
Indeed.
Thank you for listening to us talk about our thoughts on the movie. Hopefully we provide something worth your time here.
I think you do, for sure.
I think you do.
All right, well then, we both have...
That's why this podcast works, is because there's a time where you...
stuff I don't know.
Yeah, but you also... At the first few episodes, Dietz was like, I just want to, just lecture. It's like, no, that's what people like. People want to hear...
All 20 of them?
So they don't want... They don't want to... I don't know, never thought about thinking of a movie this way or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, we're sure glad for the 20 of you that listen.
Yeah, thanks for sticking around.
It makes it fun.
Okay, Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom from 1984, a movie my dad once said was the worst movie ever made.
It's not likely, but...
I know, but it's
not great.
It's not great. Okay, but we have some important context. So, in between Raiders of the Lost Ark and Temple of Doom is one movie that Spielberg made. What's the movie he made? It's often cited... E.T.
Oh, okay.
Wait,
you went from E.T. to this?
Yes. So,
oh, wow.
Okay, so here's the thing. The other important thing that since the last Indiana Jones is Star Wars. So George Lucas is the other, half of Indiana Jones.
Like the conceptual half of it?
Yeah, he wrote...
Right.
He's not directing, but he's producing and stuff. He's kind of like a partnership with these first four. So here's the thing. After the success of Star Wars, George Lucas was married for 15 years and famously gets divorced. His wife leaves him for the man who's installing the stained glass windows at his house type of thing.
Oh, wow.
It's kind of hypothesized she was waiting for Star Wars to be done and then they can finally focus on each other,
married.
But that apparently didn't happen. Whatever happened didn't happen. So George Lucas, needless to say, was in a dark place because his wife left him.
Sure.
People wrongfully say Spielberg was also in a dark place, but not for the reason some people think. Some people he's getting divorced too. This is the divorced dad's movie. That's why it's so dark. That's not exactly true for Spielberg because if you look at the years he's married, because he famously marries Kate Capshaw from this film. Willie, yeah. That's Spielberg's wife.
Really?
And you know what? One of the most successful Hollywood marriages. They've been married for 30 years.
Well.
But before they get married and after this movie, Spielberg marries his first wife. And even has a kid with her. And then eventually, a few years after that, gets divorced and then marries her. So this movie isn't Spielberg's divorce movie. That hadn't happened yet.
Okay.
But something else did happen that did maybe affect Spielberg negatively. Did you ever see the Twilight Zone movie?
Yeah.
The Twilight Zone movie is produced by Spielberg. He even directs a segment, and it's also the worst segment. If
Which one is it?
It's the kick the can, all the old people go out, and
Oh.
that's directed by Spielberg, and I think it's the worst thing he's ever made, if I'm being honest.
That's not great.
However, so I brought my book back called Spielberg: A Retrospective. I actually saw this book at Barnes & Noble, and since I bought this book, they've added to his movies. Because the last movie, in my version, it ends with War Horse from 2011, which is probably when I bought the book. And now it goes all the way to, because he's made a lot of movies since then. So I was like, oh, that'd be kind of cool to get the revised with everything that came after so far. Anyway, so, okay. I like how the author, he's a film critic, Richard Schickel? I don't know.
Throw a couple more shiz in there and it'll be right.
Okay, I like how he starts out. He says, for reasons not entirely clear, except perhaps the studio executives, Warner Bros. In the early 1980s thought there might be fun and profit to be had from making an anthology movie based on the Rod Serling Twilight Zone television series. So he's like throwing shade. It's like, why did they even make this? Yeah. Anyway, executives thought it was a good idea. Employing some of the better directors of Spielberg's generation, including John Landis, coming off of Animal House, Blues Brothers, and American Werewolf in London. Joe Dante, who directed Gremlins, and Gremlins 2. And probably
just one of the greatest films ever.
Gremlins 2, of course, the masterpiece, that we all know and love. And George Miller, who Mad Max. And this, I don't know how... Anyway, George Miller, I don't think he's an American household name. Whatever, he directs one of them. Actually, he probably directs the best one. He directs the Gremlins... Which is funny.
10,000 feet.
The 10,000 feet, the thing on the air. That's maybe the best one in that movie, probably.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Except for the little Dan Aykroyd turning into a werewolf. Little vignette. That was awesome. That's first time I saw that scared the crap out of me.
I don't even remember it, actually.
They're just driving down a dark, like, in the forest. He's like, hey, you want to see something cool? And he shuts the lights off, and they're driving in complete blackness. And the guy's like, turn the lights on, okay. And then they pull over. He says, you want to see something really cool? And then he turns away from his passenger, and when he turns back, he's a werewolf, and he eats him. It's pretty great.
Yeah.
Spoilers.
That's because, like, the movie's set of, like, them telling scary stories, right? Or something?
Yeah.
Dan Aykroyd and the other guy?
Yeah.
Oh, I gotta rewatch that part because I don't remember that.
Other than that, yeah, it's a pretty forgettable.
Yeah, it's like just watch the original episodes, I guess. Except for the one I said. I think that one's maybe a better version.
That's a remake of...
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they're... Okay. It didn't sound like much, and it was hard to see what Spielberg saw in the project other than doing something that honored the nostalgia he felt in the TV shows of his childhood. This is where, like, why Spielberg might have been in a dark place comes in. Because there was famously a horrific accident on set where people died.
Oh, really?
There's a Vietnam flashback in one of the segments. The helicopter literally kills like 3 people on set.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I don't know that.
The incident appears to have been the result of pure mischance, but of course there were criminal proceedings and suits for damage as well. So Spielberg was being sued over this. Spielberg was in no way culpable. He was not even on set that night. Landis and the other 4 were charged with involuntary manslaughter and acquitted for the charge after a lengthy trial. The studio could briefly consider shutting the production down. That would have been the wisest course, but it did not do so. Spielberg, however, chose to do a less edgy story than he was originally scheduled to do, called Kick the Can. Okay, so the thing is, besides E.T., which was nothing but success, he also dealt with this thing.
Right.
And I don't think we realized, legal actions were involved. Like, it was not just... They were going to shut it down. So it's not just the fact people died, it's a whole bunch of other things. Because Spielberg was, like, seen as... Maybe this is kind of why he shifted Temple of Doom into dark territories. Like, oh, E.T., Spielberg's the children's guy, you know? Like, no, I could do dark and edgy still. Or maybe he just was like, I just need... here's where I am right now type of thing. After this horrible accident. And people accusing me, yada, yada, yada. But regardless, ever make a movie exploring sober... like it even says in the... Sorry, I was just reading... He had enjoyed great financial success, likely the greatest in the history of his medium, certainly of one his age. The question was, would he ever make a movie exploring sober and maturing emotions? Then he...
This is what he made. Mature.
That he now turned it... Indiana Jones and Temple of Doom did not augur well for him, especially with the critics. Blah, 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 blah. Okay. But yeah, so... So
we're all in a dark place.
Kinda. Like, if you were to look at auteur theory is a couple of different things. On one where, director is literally the sole person in charge. Another aspect of auteur theory is you can analyze a person based on their work at the time. So it's like, no matter what the movie is, it's a reflection on them. And so it's kind of hard not to do with Steven Spielberg because he's so like in the public eye. Like, we know who this guy is and what he's like and stuff. So it's like, oh yeah, he's this bad thing just happened. That's why Temple of Doom. Maybe, you know,
right? Maybe
a little bit though. I mean,
we tend to create from our experience. So
yeah, I mean, eventually he gets to like Schindler's List, a deeply personal movie on his culture and religion. So like, there are specific things that are, this is a Spielberg thing about who he is as a person.
Right.
But, it's kind of like any of the theories. How much depth can you put into it type of thing. Anyway, do you know what one of the lasting legacies of this movie was for the industry? People wanted this movie to be rated R.
Oh, so this is the PG-13 movie?
Yeah. And Gremlins... And this movie were just a few weeks apart from release in 1984, and parents got mad at both movies
well, this one for sure.
Yeah, I know I'm desensitized, but I'm also kind of like, is it as? I mean,
oh, it was. My parents watched it and they're like, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
And like I said, like last week, I didn't watch Temple of Doom until I was an adult.
Yeah, I didn't see it until in high school because my parents didn't like it.
Yeah.
So we didn't have it growing up.
So, yeah, I don't know. Now, you're right. It's not nearly as shocking as it could be, but...
That being said, I was watching it and my kids came in for a little bit. And they're watching, and it's like, you guys...
just as he pulled the heart out of...
No, it was actually the part... He's fighting the big guy on the conveyor belt.
Oh.
So I'm like, you can't watch this part, though.
So crazy.
So, yeah, because kind of the back-to-back Gremlins Temple of Doom thing, PG-13 was born.
Yeah.
Spielberg literally made a phone call to the president of the Motion Picture Association, said, hey, we need something in between. Boom, it's invented now.
Wow.
Do you know the first PG-13 movie? I just learned.
Batman.
No. It's a movie I haven't seen. It involves Russia. Let's see if you can guess it. Teenagers. Alaska, I think. Red Dawn. Have you seen Red Dawn?
Oh, with Patrick Swayze and Charlie Sheen?
I don't know. I haven't seen it, but...
It's not bad. Is that PG-13?
I think that's supposed to be the first PG-13 movie.
I thought it was R.
Oh, well, I don't know. I thought I learned that.
Oh, well.
Anyway, and now PG-13's the default.
Yeah.
It's like, when's the last time a PG movie truly kind of broke the mold in a way that everyone loved type of thing, you know? Because sometimes, like, there are some movies whose ratings are interesting. I don't know if it's not a perfect system, but there are movies that, like, they don't want to be branded G and now don't want to be branded PG.
Right.
I think famously in the 90s, Casper, the Friendly Ghost, there's like a swear word thrown in just to give it that PG rating. And I think that's the only reason it's there type of thing. Huh. It's like, we're not just kids. It's like, bump it up a little bit type of thing. It's an interesting... we've even prior talked about it to some extent, the rating systems, but...
I don't know what we have. It is kind of a broken system.
Yeah.
Because, like, we could make a much more specific rating system if we wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
But we've got the R4 language and violence and whatever, so... I don't know.
Yeah. And now this movie's still PG, which is fun because...
Yeah.
Is it worse than Crusade, which is PG-13?
Yeah, it is.
It's just so...
Crusade...
I think this movie's just so goofy. I don't think of it as...
That's fair, But I mean, there's some stuff in this movie that's pretty dark. The voodoo stuff, the exploitation of
Yeah.
India.
Okay, should we just jump into that for just a second?
Sure.
Because I was thinking about that when we were watching, compared to our Raiders last week. Because this movie is kind of better in some ways in that regard. Let me explain. Deets made a face. Because in Raiders of the Last Ark, I mean, Raiders has just the Egyptians digging. No one has any lines. They're just there to be backdrop, essentially.
Right.
We kind of talked about that. In this movie, at least we have Indians, like, as characters here. Like, they are involved in the story specifically with speaking roles. And you could argue the fact that there are bad guys from the country and good guys from the country make it more rounded. There are a lot of issues, though. Don't get me wrong.
Like, one of the things... Thinking about that, one of the things that I immediately noticed is the white savior.
Yes, this is...
this is...
white savior trope.
Right. This is, like, the pinnacle of it. Like,
yes, it is.
All these... Like, yeah. They're just waiting for Indiana Jones to show up to go get this because none of them can do it. Or... Like, the one that I wrote down, and Short Round is obviously not white, but, like, these kids are chained, and they've been working for who knows how long. Not a single one of these Indian kids could think to smack their chain with their little hammer.
I thought of that.
That's crazy. So, like, the whole time it's like India is just this nation of morons that they're just there, and they can't come up with anyhow. So yeah, the whole white savior thing is pretty crazy.
And like I think we mentioned it with Raiders. It doesn't hold a candle to this one because it's like you're right. The village is like, oh good, a white man,
a white person, go get our stone back.
That's what it looks like. It sounds like. But okay, let's back up a little bit to the. I actually love the nightclub scene, if I'm being honest, where Willie's singing.
At the start,
Anything Goes in like Mandarin or whatever.
Yeah.
In fact, this book says, this might be a hot take, this guy says it's the best opening in the series, which
could be.
I think it's kind of silly because when the scene plays on, it's like, where'd that giant stage go? It's gone. It doesn't really matter. But it's kind of exciting. It's like he's wearing like a classic James Bond suit. It's white with the red flower. He doesn't feel like Indy.
No.
He's like, give me this diamond for this other artifact. Like, this is not Indiana Jones from the last movie. He doesn't trade artifacts. He loves history. He's not.
Right.
He gets poisoned. Wears the antidote. Accidentally punches a woman at one point.
Anyhow.
Like, it's bananas.
That's where you realize this is like gonna be more like a Top Secret or a Naked Gun type movie because the whole kicking the diamond and I'm like, okay, come on.
And the fact that Willie even gets roped into it doesn't even make sense either.
No. It doesn't at all. But there
he
she
gets
is.
poisoned. Like, let me just kill someone. It's like, all right, Indy, calm down. Did you catch this? That it's technically a prequel
To
chronologically, yeah.
Oh, I did not.
The year is before the first one,
Oh.
which here are my thoughts on that because it doesn't make sense that it's a prequel. For one, Indiana Jones in Raiders says he doesn't believe in mysticism or like magic.
Right.
Like, why would you not believe that if you went through it? It's like, I think it's a prequel because I think Marion was such a success to audiences and critics. It's like, well, how do we excuse not having Marion? Well, what's that before that? I think that's maybe the reason.
Why didn't they bring her back?
I don't know.
Oh.
And it's like, let's have the exact opposite of Marion.
Right. I was going to bring that up. Like, Willie and Marion are, foils for each other. They're very, very different. I honestly... When is this? 87?
When the movie comes out? This is 84.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway.
But it's just interesting that we accepted, I guess, in 84, a female character like her. Because she's completely helpless.
It's like, more than helpless. It's like she doesn't even want to be in the movie.
Right.
It's like...
But she's like completely just this thing, and she thinks herself. She objectifies herself the whole time, and
yeah, There's some ridiculous ones too.
Yeah.
Oh, a heart got ripped out. That's freaking out. Diamonds? Oh, like, oh, come on. What are we doing here?
Yeah, she's probably my least favorite female character that we've done.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that includes the female elf character from the Hobbit movies.
That's true. She's at least got some chutzpah to her.
I mean, that's the only thing she has.
Yeah.
But why does it feel so, or why does it hurt so?
Yeah.
Anyway,
Willie.
But Willie is awful in every way.
Yeah, that's surprising that he ended up marrying her. I wonder why.
Well, in real life, you know, she's not Willie, I guess.
Maybe. But she's pretty convincing as Willie.
There's just...
I can't.
But it's like, you haven't been able to take your eyes off me. It's like, when has he had an option to look at you?
Right.
There's been a car chase, the poison... Anyway. There's silly stuff in this movie.
There is silly stuff.
But there's also some funny stuff, too. Well, I guess... Remember, like...
We've discovered that my sense of humor is very different from yours.
I think it's kind of... I love the part, though. It's like, nice try, Lao She. Closes the door. It says, Lao She airplane.
But what did that...
It's just out of the frying pan in the fire. But then it's just silly, because why didn't the pilots just kill them in the plane when they were sleeping?
Yeah. Well,
they just blow up a whole plane, I guess.
Which was great. That's one of my 4 pros.
The
plane exploding reminded me of Birdemic. It looked exactly like it. The mountain behind it is not affected in the slightest. This is, and then
we're not sinking, we're crashing.
Oh man. Yeah, I think Willie's my least favorite female character of all time. Maybe.
Here's the thing, though.
Think about that.
Yeah, I can't think of a worse. Yeah. I don't know. Like, we've watched
that whole stupid thing in the forest where she's screaming.
Oh my gosh!
All the animals. I'm like, what is even this? Like, what is this?
Exactly.
What are they doing?
I know.
Anyhow,
because here's the thing: people love this one. Some people think, like, unironically love this one. In fact, I asked our lovely followers on social their thoughts on Temple of Doom. Someone responded, Mackie Rat said it's the best Indiana Jones movie and probably Spielberg's best movie. So I was like, I asked him, like, oh, wait, what are you,
like a smiley face after that or something?
What are your reasonings? And he says this movie is both fun and entertaining while not being preachy or purely for boomers. Also, it has the realistic portrayal of Indian people. I don't know how to react to that either.
I'm not sure that's true. An Indian sister-in-law, and I don't think she would agree with that. Maybe.
I guess an argument could be made that what India portrayals did we have in 1984 for American audiences?
Gandhi, right? Isn't Gandhi right around this
Gandhi
time?
Actually won Best Picture the year E.T. came out.
So we've got Gandhi.
That might be it, I suppose.
But we've got Gandhi.
I mean...
anyhow.
Red Cap Jack Productions says it's actually my favorite of the series, despite, and maybe even because, of the many faults it has. It's cynical, ruthless, and delves close to horror. I probably watched this one more than the others for the pure pulpiness of it.
It is pulpy, for sure.
Yeah, which is a lot of fun. But I think, there's an argument to be made when this movie came out, critics were like, no, this is not good. But the kids who weren't allowed to see it, I think there was always something enticing about it. Yeah. And or when kids saw it, it's like, no, this is maybe directed more toward me because of the weird children sense of humor that when they grew up, they just still continued to like it.
Maybe. Yeah.
Or it's kind of like the Star Wars prequels things where it's like you just kind of grow up with it. It's just part of the ones you grew up with and you just like it now. I wonder if there's something there. Because it's a B movie, or it's got a B movie plot, but it takes itself seriously. I think there's something to it.
I guess it does. I don't know.
I think at the time, people compared it... Like, when Indiana Jones 4 came out, and another one that people don't like, people would argue Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull is too safe. It's forgettable. Well, at least we have Temple of Doom where it's nothing safe, and the swings are so big, it's like everything's memorable type of thing.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I think this is the worst Indiana Jones film.
I agree.
But I like that people like it, though. That makes me happy.
Got some fans.
Like, I don't know what they're doing with his character. Because, like, Indiana Jones, he just falls into this... Like, he falls into this movie. It's like, I gotta go save these kids.
Right.
It's like, yeah, because you're a decent person. That's what a decent person does. But it's not... I mean, we've only had 2 Indiana Jones movies at this point. But Raiders, it feels like he... Would he have done that in the last movie type of thing?
It feels like it's not the same character, honestly.
Exactly.
All we have reminiscent of Raiders is a whip and a hat.
Yeah.
I mean, and he's out adventuring, but like there's nothing else that's the same. And knowing and loving The Last Crusade as I do,
yeah,
this is just a really odd, because in The Last Crusade he is back to being the guy he was in Raiders. So I don't know, that it's a prequel makes sense to me in that regard.
Yeah,
because this is a less mature Indiana Jones than in Raiders and Last Crusade, so I guess that makes sense.
Yeah, I guess that's the argument. He hasn't aged into who he will be in the next movie, but I don't know. It's only like a year if you look at the years.
Oh, really?
Differences. Here's a quote that I wanted to pull from Spielberg himself. He said, "I got separation pangs. I knew that if I didn't direct Temple, someone else would. Got a little bit jealous. I got a little bit frustrated." Because I think no matter what, they would have made the sequel with or without him. So maybe that's part of... I don't know. It just feels maybe a little rushed in some ways.
Yeah, it's not as clean.
Not as clean. But luckily, Last Crusade is super clean.
Yeah, Last Crusade is amazing. So we've already covered one of my 4 pros. The Birdemic.
The one explosion in the background.
Yeah, that was great.
You didn't like them sledding from snow to jungle?
No, like every action piece in here is just ludicrous. It doesn't make any sense. Like the minecart thing.
I know it doesn't make sense, but
it looks it's a lot of fun,
like a roller coaster.
But if you why would they make that track?
Does it over lava and everything?
Any piece of that track, if you engage your critical brain at all, that whole scene is just
nothing
moronic.
Makes sense because then they dump over the water tower.
Yeah,
you know how long they've been riding the train cars?
Right.
There's no way.
And why would they even dump that over? He's never going to see those rocks again. If that floods out into the ocean, those rocks are gone.
That's a good point.
He would not do that.
Well, he threatens to drop them. Drop them. They will be found.
Right, but they're going to be dropped right there. Whereas, anyhow, it's dumb.
I guess here's why people like it, because I see that it's like, man, nothing here makes sense, but it's so much fun, though.
It's a lot of fun, and that's what I ultimately decided for this movie. Yeah, this movie is just intended to be a lot of fun. Yeah, without any depth at all to it. Yeah, I mean, is it fun that they somehow survived falling hundreds of feet? Because I thought when he ripped it open, he was going to hang on to it and use it as like a parachute, but no, they land. There's no cushion there. And then riding it down, the whole jungle scene, and even Indiana Jones's attitude. He's in a jungle. Yeah, there are deadly crap all around him, and he's just sitting there doing whatever he's doing. Yeah, while Willie's freaking out, you just casually hear a tiger. Right. It's like, that's a tiger. You got to be careful about tigers. And so he's just, oh man. And I remember the first time I watched it, the lowering and raising of Willie in the lava. I'm like, what? Because at the very, very, very least, when she comes back up, she's got to be toasty. Yeah. Not dead maybe, but
Yeah.
like just not a hair singed, nothing. Like, anyhow. Because she went further down to the lava than the guy who burst into flames did. Like, way further down. What is going... Or Short Round showing up on that dais. Okay, great. They don't... And he does whatever he does. Oh, he burns Indy.
Yeah.
And then no one does anything about him.
While
he runs around and does other crap. I'm like, what are you doing?
What's so crazy is Indy is beating up all those guys. There is still, and you see them, a whole crowd of people just waving their arms. You don't hear them anymore, but they're still there. We can see. And then they do disappear after that.
Yeah, but... So, this is a critical thinker's nightmare.
It totally is.
Everything. And his whip. I noticed this also. His whip is as long or as short as it needs to be to do whatever it is he's doing. Mm-hmm. Like, he whips... like the whatever snake head and swings across. That's like a 40-foot long whip that he has there as he's swinging across, and then whatever.
Okay, other pros. Let's go through your pros.
Indy. Pros. Oh, I forgot we were doing pros.
Yeah.
Why would you let Indiana Jones anywhere near that sacrifice? Even if...
I don't know.
Why? You would not. Why would you be, come over here?
Well, maybe no one's broken out of hypnosis ever before. No one's been burnt in the tummy when they've been hypnotized before.
Burnt in the tummy.
That's how you stop it.
Yeah, apparently. Anyhow, pros, the scenery, is gorgeous.
Okay.
Beautiful.
Here's the other secret sauce is it looks amazing. Yes. There's a shot where Willie falls in the water because it's so silly. Indy just slowly rides this elephant into the light. Like, this is one of the coolest Indiana Jones shots.
Yeah, it's so pretty.
And even the scene where Willie and Indy are like, will they, won't they, in the hotel.
Right.
And then the bad guy jumps out. It's like the lighting, the shadows are just so gorgeous. Yeah. It looks amazing.
It's well shot.
Yeah.
Even if it's ridiculous.
I think it's too bad that they are in the underground for so long, because when they're finally out, at the end, it's this feels better. Yeah. Let's have Indy out and about, not stuck in the cave. Yeah. It's clearly a set and stuff. But, and there's a lot of Spielberg intense eyes in this movie where he steps into camera.
Yeah. So the biggest pro for me is Mola, which I think is how you pronounce his name. The bad guy, the priest guy.
Oh, yeah?
Because he's one of the creepiest bad guys ever.
Yeah.
Especially outside of horror movies, he's probably the creepiest one. His eyes and how he smiles and how he talks and everything. So I think this is the best Indiana Jones bad guy as far as creepiness, as far as his willingness to go all the way.
Maybe at the end of all of these, we should have a ranking episode where we rank best bad guys, best artifacts.
Well, I haven't seen the last one. I don't remember who the bad guy is for the skull one, but
I like that.
As far as creepiness and as far as just credible evil, I think his name's Mola.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I love the way. Hold on. There's a weird. It's so strange. It sticks out to me where when Indy's beating up everyone during the ceremony, he has that secret lever. Do you remember this? And he just evil just falls in the floor. I love that because it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
But also,
why would that be there?
Of course. Of course, do that.
And then I think we have the origins of the Incredibles here. Specifically, what's her name? Oh my goodness, what's
Willie?
Her name that makes the capes
Edna Mode.
Edna Mode. We have the reason why no capes here, because he's when they're fighting on the conveyor belt and his cape gets caught. He's no capes.
You wanna know a fun fact about that guy?
Yeah.
Same big beefy guy that was in the first movie.
Got chewed by
yeah. Might not have recognized him on account of a beard and brown face.
Yeah, brown face.
But yeah,
He's
that's
got red.
Yeah.
Anyhow.
I think in every single Indiana Jones movie, I don't know about the last one, I guess, he fights a big dude that takes a lot of punching.
Yeah. So I guess technically there's only two legit pros. The scene, like the filming, the scening.
Yeah.
And Mola, which is a big pro. Like having a good bad guy is a big pro. So he's a creepy, scary, freaky dude that we want to have die. So he doesn't, does he?
He does. He has a crazy.
Oh yeah,
death.
he falls.
He like bonks his head off the cliff. That's even.
Right. Which is also a little edgy.
Yeah.
For what? For 84. So.
I guess it did deserve a higher rating.
The heart. I mean, there's no.
It's just so surprising when you watch it.
Yeah.
A guy in a cage. Oh, his heart.
Yeah.
Just put his hand inside of a body.
Yeah.
Okay.
Pros.
Okay. I think here's one of my pros. I like Short Round. What are your thoughts on Short Round? What are your thoughts?
He's like he's a stereotype. He's a single.
Maybe it's because like Indy clearly loves Short Round. Like he lets him wear his hat at one point. Like I think there's something to the effect of Indy clearly loves this kid.
Sure.
But he also never appears ever again, which is
probably because he's an offensive stereotype.
Well, okay, but that's how the actor talks. He's not like doing an accent. Like if you hear Ki Hu Kwan talk, he talks like that.
Right, but his whole attitude, his whole behavior, everything.
You're right. I actually last night, because he was in the Goonies, this actor, and then dropped out of Hollywood because Hollywood wasn't interested in
stereotypes
in Asians. Like there wasn't a role for him, and he famously has said when he saw the movie Crazy Rich Asians, it's like, maybe Hollywood's finally interested in like
Asian actors.
So he comes back for Everything Everywhere All at Once, wins an Oscar, and I actually last night watched his first his first movie where he's the star, called Love Hurts.
Was it good?
It's unfortunately really bad. But I don't think it's his fault. Because he knows how to fight in real life. He knows Kung Fu. In between acting, he was doing fight consultants on action movies and stuff. The movie is... there's some fun parts. It's kind of like action comedy. But I don't think any of it really works because...
Oh, the Love Hurts.
Love Hurts, yeah. But I want him to be in other stuff. I mean, he's been popping up. He was in Loki season 2, and he's pretty good in that and things like that. So I'm glad he's getting work because I love the guy basically, and I think he's just fun. A Short Round. Would you? I mean, I know who I'm asking, so let me. If they were like, here's a grown-up Short Round movie. Short Round as a grown-up. Would you ever consider watching that? A standalone spin-off?
I
don't know. He's off on his own adventure. As a grown-up Short Round.
No, I probably wouldn't. I don't even know what he would be. He's nothing without Indy.
That's a good point.
His whole character is Indiana Jones's defender.
Yeah.
I don't know.
There's just that fun moment. Indy's punching that guy, and then Short Round in the background is punching that kid. Yeah. There's moments, I guess.
I do really enjoy him. You call him Dr. Jones. That's the only part of Short Round I really like.
He's wearing blocks on his shoes to drive.
Yeah, that was
Hold on to your potatoes.
Yeah. He's not a terrible character, but in a movie full of stereotypes,
maybe it gets blurred out because
it just fits. All non-white characters are stereotypes in this movie.
Because here's the big problem with the India and stereotypes is they get saved by the British in the end. Mm-hmm. To the movie's credit, the soldiers are the Indian British soldiers.
Right, I did notice that.
But the guy in charge is the guy that was in the palace. And it's so funny in a ironic way where it's like... hold on, I wrote it down. The India guy was saying the British set down the mutiny of the India people. It's like, oh yeah, you mean the real life thing that really happened?
Yeah.
And Indian people were killed because of it.
Yeah.
That thing the movie feels like you're complaining about.
Yeah.
You know? It's like, because it's basically only there for a setup and payoff.
Right.
The army's there to save him in the end. Here's the setup. It plays out really poorly because of that. And
Among
also,
other things.
among other things, like, let's eat snakes. Let's eat monkey brains.
Like, none of that.
The argument I have seen online is they're trying to scare away Indy, basically.
By
Like,
serving him a bunch of food that...
yeah. Which, by the way, he doesn't even react to the snake.
Right.
On the slithering out of the snake. But the argument people have made is like they're just trying to freak him out to get him to go, or
Maybe.
it just plays off as, ooh, look how silly we are. We're eating monkey brains. Isn't that silly? And
Yeah.
no, this is it's gross out humor. And it's not even funny. Blah blah blah. Problematic stuff.
Yep.
I also learned though, Thuggies is a real. It's real.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
I didn't either. I looked it up though.
In fact, the British Army used the idea of Thuggies as a way to excuse themselves into the country. I didn't know any of this.
I didn't either.
Because it goes back hundreds of years.
Yeah.
Thuggies, or like the myth of Thuggies, like these people will befriend you, blah blah blah, then they'll murder you and steal your stuff in the middle of the night.
Yep.
And
Thugs.
yeah, that, like thugs, yeah. And the movie is using a real life thing in their story, which is kind of cool.
Yeah. Well, that, like, my philosophy is kind of about that, yeah. Because this is nominally based on Hindi religion, and so there's all of the philosophy that goes with being a part of a religion that has literally millions of deities.
Yeah.
And we have Shiva in this film. Shiva's the destroyer. And I didn't ever really understand the connection between Shiva and the Thuggy, whatever.
They dishonored Shiva, I guess.
Right, but Shiva's the destroyer, so I didn't really... They should have dishonored Shankara, who's kind of Shiva's, like, opposite.
Part of Shiva's known as the Great God.
Right, he's... Right, isn't he the destroyer?
The destroyer or transformer.
Right, but he's the blue guy that we always associate with the Hindi religion. If you know one Hindi god, he's that guy. Yeah. Anyhow, but the philosophy behind the Hindi lifestyle is kind of what I wanted to hit on with so Hindi lifestyle is based on a caste system, which I'm sure most of us know. We have at the very top of this caste system is the priest class, which we see here represented pretty because I mean, other than him being the priest, there's not really a good reason for everyone to be following him and his orders. But it's such a part, at least historically, of the Indian psyche that you are in your caste, you stay there, you don't leave, and so the idea of having these lower class people serving in a mine is, I guess, less offensive because we understand that it's a part of that caste. I don't know what caste the people in that village fit into, but there is a caste, like at the very, very bottom, where I think they're called the untouchables, where they are the poop scoopers and the people that just do all of the crappy jobs that no one else wants to do. If these kids come from that class, then this makes sense. And it's an accurate representation of how the Indian culture historically, I don't think it's true as much anymore, but would react to this caste of people. That's just what they're supposed to be doing, is the crappy work that no one else wants to do. And so in terms of philosophy then, we can look at, I am going to say that the caste system is alive and well throughout the world. It's not as regimented and strict, but in the United States, for example, the high, middle, low class, and then we have at the like I don't know, the people that do the work that we don't want to do. It's, at least where we're at, those are migrant workers frequently, who do the work and so I'm not sure that we are out of the caste way of living, the caste philosophy, the caste way of thinking about other people. We have the high priests are the Elon Musks and the whatever, and we being, the lower class, middle class, we don't really associate with them. We don't, presume to, interact with them or whatever. Mm-hmm. And so from that perspective, I think this is a really interesting movie to see why Indiana Jones is so, I don't know if he's hated by the people in this movie, but so out weird or different is he doesn't obey the caste. He doesn't fit in his place and not leave. Yeah. He interacts directly with the high priest, directly with the soldier caste, which is the next one down, directly with the low class. Like, he's just moving in and out of, and so that's what makes him a rebel. From the Hindi philosophy is he's outside of the caste system, and in a large part that's why he can do the things that he does, is because he doesn't have that I'm restricted. So to then move that philosophy into our lives, like there seem to be massive benefits to not allowing our minds to be locked into, this is my quote unquote caste, this is where I fit, I don't move up, I don't interact, I don't question, I don't whatever, because unquestionably Indiana Jones is the most powerful force in this film. Mm-hmm. And I don't think that's just because of his skill set. I think a big part of what makes him a powerful person is his unwillingness to lock himself into a certain way of viewing himself, a certain way of viewing his role in the world or in the situation or in life. So there you go. That's my philosophy.
Hey. That's
so awesome. Don't lock into the caste belief of yourself.
Be like Indiana Jones.
Except don't. But, I mean, just in that sense, there seems to be a lot of power in that.
He sees the poor and, like, who they are.
Interacts with them. Yeah. Is willing to be poor, quote unquote. Like he's that. Very. We have that scene where they first arrive at that village. He's willing to be with them. Yeah. Like to be poor when they bring the food that's the best that they have. Yeah. He's willing to be with them and to be poor, to be a part of that caste. And then on the other end, when they have the other meal that's in this movie, he's willing to be there too. Although I don't think he eats anything, actually.
I know. I like that a lot. You got to break the caste in your mind.
There's power in viewing yourself outside of the social system that you live in.
But we also attach a bunch of, not rules, but rules.
Oh, yeah.
Like, if you don't dress wealthy, then wealthy people might not respect you type of thing. Or something like that.
Or if you're not a part of the cast and you try to dress wealthy, you stick out like a sore thumb. So, yeah. But it, like, being... The example that just popped into my head is Ace Ventura.
Okay.
Like, what makes Ace Ventura a powerful character?
Because animals love him.
Well, right, but he doesn't fit in the, like, so goes to this super fancy party, he goes to the bathroom and, like, gets whatevered by the sharks and all of that, and he comes out of the bathroom, like, he's like, woo, don't go in there. But that's what makes him powerful, is he's willing to be in this super high class system, but he's outside of it. He doesn't fit in it, but he's there. He's interacting. Yeah, and that's what gives him power.
Okay, here, what I've been watching. I'm watching for the first time. I've been watching Columbo, and it's the same.
The Peter Falk.
Yeah. What else is there? Name another Columbo.
I don't know. That's all I know.
No, but that's what he does. He suspects someone of murder. But because he doesn't act like they think he should act, he gets to the bottom of the case. Yeah. He has crazy hair. He acts like he's
got his walleye.
Yeah, he's. Oh, I just forgot. Oh, one more thing. That he's super smart, but
So
he
we
doesn't.
see it.
But people don't think he's smart because he doesn't act like it.
Yeah.
Ah,
So don't let the caste system rob you of your power.
I like that, Dr. Dietz.
Yeah.
Oh, I have a. You reminded me of a question I wanted to ask you. This movie, I think it's pretty well established that the magic or mysticism is real.
Yeah.
Taking
for
hearts
sure.
out, burning up the stones. So Shiva is real in Indiana Jones.
Yes.
So if Shiva and the believers of Shiva is real, like the valley was brought back to life because of this stone.
Sure.
And if Raiders of the Lost Ark proves the power of God is real, so in the world of Indiana Jones,
I was actually going to ask you this exact question. So
are both things like all religion is real religion in Indiana Jones.
I guess.
Because, like I said last episode, Raiders is the Jewish Old Testament God. Like, you know, this one's Hinduism, next one's Jesus Christ, Christianity.
Right.
It's kind of, all of it's real in Indiana Jones.
Yeah, but yes. But there's just like they're only taking this one. The mysticism is real, apparently. Yeah. So my question is there an unseen world? Because if we look at everything that we've watched for this podcast, all of the blockbusters all seem to hinge on the existence and the reality of a world that we don't directly interact with. But if we can touch it or access it, there's enormous power, there's enormous things going on. So we've got all of the Marvel stuff is about an unseen world, whether it's Asgard, whether it's, alien species, whether it's whatever. We've got Lord of the Rings is Sauron and this whole unseen thing. Is that all we've done? What else have we done?
And Star Wars.
Oh yeah, Star Wars is again this unseen world, the Force, the aliens that are out there, and now we have this. So we as a people seem to be very, I don't know if it's interested or convinced that there's a world operating or worlds operating on our sense of reality that we don't see at all.
Like in real life?
Yes.
Because, okay, hold on. Because you're...
Like the whole genre of horror, for example, is built on that. The whole genre of science fiction is built on that. The whole genre of fantasy is built on that.
But it's also just stories. To like the dawn of time, people like to tell stories about
But if you think
stuff.
about those stories from the dawn of time, they're all about this unseen world.
Yeah, because...
And so there's...
it's...
Where would that come from if there wasn't?
Even like every single night when I put my kids to bed, like, tell us a story. And I'm like, well, I have to make stuff up a lot.
Star Wars stories?
I probably could get away with that. Oh, here's the thing. It's kind of, with my 3-year-old, it's kind of like I have to guess what the story should be, because she'll be like, no, it's not like that. Like, okay, what is it like that? But they want to hear stories about, like, I don't know, fairies and
unseen world,
unicorns and
unseen
stuff.
World.
Exactly, that's what I mean. But like, I think something about being a human is like, let's tell a story about even going back to Greeks and Romans, like the stars. This is the story.
Yep.
That constellation is this guy, and his job is to pull the sky, the sun.
Yes.
It's just natural.
That's what I'm talking about.
It's just about being human.
Okay, so when we were talking about Spielberg earlier, I said that creativity tends to come from our experience, from our place. So if the very oldest and the very most recent stories that we have are all about this unseen world, there has to be an experience that sparked that. There has to be, because we wouldn't, like dragons, for example. Yeah. You wouldn't just make up a dragon.
But they did. In every country, in every continent has a dragon.
I know that. How did that happen? Well, because there has to be some actual real world common experience.
Are you talking about, like, hold on, because I gotta make sure we're on the same page here. Are you saying hold on. Are you saying it's not just stories here? It's like, okay. Okay.
I'm postulating that it's possible that all of this has some origin in reality that we don't interact with on a daily basis. Like
Okay,
what's
wait,
oldest...
hold on, because there's a lot of aspects to this conversation that we've we've diverted from Indy, but like,
well, no, this is directly related to the question that you asked.
I know, because I think about like indigenous mythology.
Yes.
Like they have all these like things, but then if you spend a night camping in the middle of the woods, like wow, it's so dark.
Yeah.
It's like what's that? What's that sound out there? It's easy to kind of think about where stuff comes from, where it's like that's the hide around. It hides behind a tree the second you look, you know? That's what was making that noise.
Yeah,
so
like that's a possible explanation for it. But
okay.
We can creation. For example, every culture that I'm aware of has a creation story.
When I taught sophomores, we used to do mythology. We used to look them up. That's what I mean. And what make them up too, because it's...
Why would we every culture
because it's natural for people to be like, how did this world get here?
That's fair.
And it's on the back of this giant turtle.
That's fair.
Oh, well, what's that turtle standing on? Another turtle.
Anyhow, a lot of cultures have a flood story.
Okay.
Why?
Because it rains a lot.
I'm just saying, or the dragons, as we already mentioned.
Yeah.
Dragons are, like, we can look at, so Chichen Itza is like a famous, I think it's Mayan, city.
Okay.
There are dragons there.
Quetzalcoatl.
Right.
That's the only one I can
the
pull
feathered
out,
serpent.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Why? We don't have, as far as we know, a dragon
in America
in existence on this planet.
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
But these cultures, independent of each other, come up with this stuff, or like visitors from other places, aliens or whatever. They show up in all cultures.
Man, we should save the aliens thing for a couple movies down, but
sure. I'm just
we'll get back to aliens.
This movie and the question that you asked that I, interestingly enough, also wanted to ask, seems to suggest that we have this as a species, this common sense that there is something beyond our five senses. There's some reality beyond what we experience on a normal everyday so I don't know, because
it gets to like superstition in general, where it's like this happened to me type of thing. Maybe it did, or maybe it was something else.
Sure. But what I'm saying is, like, when we're thinking critically, we're looking at a preponderance, right?
Okay.
The preponderance of evidence seems to suggest that there has to be. If
interesting.
Okay, so I'll give you a different example. The beauty standard in the United States, right? For years, teaching here, my opening salvo for critical thinking, I would have my classes make a list of what does a beautiful woman have to have.
Really?
And we'd make this list.
Fun.
And then I would cover it up, and I'd do the same thing for the next class, make this list. And then the next day, I would...
What a good teacher you are. That's teacher of the year stuff right there.
I would uncover it, and you would be... Like, I was consistently shocked at how consistent those lists were in terms of all of these things.
Their personal standards? Or, like, what the world...
What society says a beautiful woman should be.
Okay.
The lists were not identical, but 85-90% of the things on those lists showed up on every list. Every list across that year and every list across the years. Yeah. Anytime that happens, that is indicative of programming or common experience, right? Yeah. Because otherwise the lists would be personal, like you said. Like, I personally am not attracted to a lot of the things that our society says beauty is. Anyhow, so anytime something shows up universally, across across a cross section of people, there's something true, or there's something shared or common in that experience. So in the case of beauty standard, we are programmed by the beauty industry, by by Hollywood, to think of beautiful women as being a certain body type, having a certain features, whatever. And so the fact that the beauty standard is the same across all of these classes shows us that. So we have dragons across cultures.
Okay.
We have creation myths across cultures, flood myths across cultures, visitors from other locations across cultures. Seems to suggest, just like the beauty standard suggests, that there is a common shared experience here that we tend to dismiss as, oh yeah, that's superstition, that's whatever. But maybe, as we think critically, maybe there's something more there.
So okay, I like that.
Sorry.
But like, what, because I guess, since Hinduism's so different than Christianity, for example, is there a connecting thing there, or is it just
outside of
like
the existence of unseen gods, or gods outside of normal experience?
I guess yes, but also I was thinking like where they came from and what they cling onto as truth. Any religion,
like the seed way back when. Yeah, I mean, the unseen God, because Christianity has, I don't know if pulling a heart out of somebody is equivalent, but like unexplained, like powers that are unexplained by our normal, understanding of physics and chemistry, like water to wine, or bringing back the dead, or in this case, pulling a heart out of somebody and having them still be alive.
Cover your heart, Indy.
These are all powers that are not explained by current science. And so, there do seem to be, if we, I don't know what the genealogy would be if we traced it back, but the seed way back in the past has to have something to do with a being from somewhere else that has significant power interacting with a less powerful people, because it shows up literally in every culture that I'm aware of.
Yes. I love this. The problem with society is it's easy to take that idea and be like, nah, that's
right.
Just dismiss it immediately.
And this was not a part of what I planned to talk about at all, but with critical thinking, you can ask, okay, why? Why would the elite powers in a culture want to dismiss religion, for example? It's
a control deed. It's all about control.
Right. Because if we don't believe in that and we don't access that kind of powers, then they maintain their power. Like in Marxism, for example, religion is famously the opiate of the masses. It's how you control large groups of people, is you get them to believe in this religion that is useful to, in Marx's case, useful to a communist cultural mindset. But I don't know. I have my opinion, obviously, about reality of the unseen world, but it's just interesting. I just realized watching this that is a common theme throughout everything that we've looked at. And we've ranged from science fiction through fantasy. Now we're into action. And it's common. And so there's got to be something like in the other movies that you're going to force me to watch. We're not ever doing Transformers. But Transformers is about that.
Yeah, we'll get to it.
Jurassic Park is about
We'll get
that.
to JP.
The Pirates of the Caribbean is about that. All of these are us trying to deal with what may be an actual real life experience that is not explainable by our current understanding of physics and chemistry and the state of the world. I don't know. None of that was supposed to be a part of this, but it just popped out. So
here's the problem. I feel like part of me just wants to talk about that. Be on for another hour.
Well, I mean, we can, because the rest of the Indiana Jones movies are in the same vein, right? We have this unseen power of the chalice of, I forget what it's called, the Holy Grail, whatever. We got the crystal skull. I don't even remember what that was about.
I know I haven't dialed back into the Destiny since I saw it in theaters, so we'll have to.
But they all seem to be that, so we can bring this.
I know, but like I go back to that thought of like all stories are about that though. Mm-hmm. We're gonna put a gigantic pin in this, and I feel like dive into it every now and then.
Okay.
Because I feel like there's a lot.
Okay, let me throw one more thing in though, because when we're talking about all stories, we're talking about all stories, all cultures.
Yeah.
And these are cultures that obviously are pre-internet, but they're also pre any interaction with each other at all. Like ancient Chinese culture, ancient Egyptian culture, they are both heavily steeped in what we're talking about, but they don't touch each other. Ancient American cultures, they don't touch each other, and yet the same ideas crop up.
Yeah.
In all three of these ancient cultures that had no contact whatsoever with each other, the likelihood of that happening just randomly with no common experience to spark that seems to be, to me, kind of a stretch of logic. How would they all end up with the same kind of stuff?
I don't know.
Well,
If you have thoughts, email desertofthereelpod@gmail.com.
I don't know where any of that came from. That's not in my notes at all. But
I know. I just like I said, I like we need more time for this idea.
Okay. So we'll put a big pin in that.
Big pin in that. What's interesting, though, kind of stemming from that idea, is that's what the Thuggies' goal is to erase all other cultures.
Right.
Like, we're going to kill the British first. Yeah, it makes sense, probably. We're going to then get rid of all Christianity. And then all religion. It's only Hinduism. And that's it.
Yep.
Which I think is an interesting bad guy plan. Because this is, the whole James Bond thing, it's just bad guy takes over the world.
For no good reason.
Yeah,
at
it's
all, right?
actually not until Daniel Craig where the bad guy's plan isn't to take over the world.
Right.
So I think it's kind of like an 80s trope, like bad guy, world domination. I think if somehow you fleshed out this idea, there's something there to make it intriguing, you know, like, because it's similar to Black Panther and Killmonger. He's like, let's use our weapons here to spread out and take, my point with that example is it's fleshed out a little more there, and it could have been more engaging here. But this movie's just kind of a silly, goofy, thing. I should say there's two moments I genuinely love that put a smile on my face. When they're Indy and Short Round are in like the room, the spikes are coming in. Indy says, "Pull the lever, I can't do it." It's just Indy's fist out of this hole. Do it now! He just shakes his fist. I love that. And then maybe one of the best line readings of all time. We are going to die! It's the best.
Sure.
I love it so much. Attempt to do a lens here, but I love how Indiana Jones, he's sneaking in, he sees the slave children, picks up a rock and throws it at a guard. It's like, Indy, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Get a plan.
Right.
He gets captured immediately, like you were not thinking. But as a character, I love that it's like he sees something bad happening and he can't control his anger. Something. I mean, it's bad and they needed him to get captured for the story, but it's just like, Indy, think about the situation here.
Yeah.
Something that also doesn't work at all, it's like the idea of Indy would ever take the stones. Willie says at one point something like, "You're gonna get killed chasing after your fortune and glory." It's like, he's here to save a village.
Right.
This is not him trying to get an artifact. This is him trying to help people.
Yeah.
This is not the movie for that line, I think. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The fortune and glory line doesn't come up again, but that's kind of a cool, like, Indiana Jones saying for fortune and glory. There's, not to always compare to Uncharted, but there's in the fourth video game, which is the most like grounded. Like, I don't think there's a supernatural element in the fourth game compared to the other games where there's some supernatural stuff, shindig, kinda, with an asterisk there. But it's that idea done super well. It's like, how far are you gonna go for the fortune and glory? Like, are you going to ruin your relationship? Are you going to put your friends in danger? Yeah. In the case of Uncharted, yeah. And he's learning the lesson to let go of that, which the next movie actually does beautifully well, if you remember the Let It Go, Indy. The idea of chasing after fortune and glory is a cool Indiana Jones motto that I don't think really gets explored beyond this movie.
Or in this movie.
It's just a cool phrase.
Yeah, it is.
How far are you going to go to chase after that thing? I was watching this, and my wife was reading a book. She reads like a giant book a day, which is good.
Good.
And except for I'm like, can I hang out with you now? Can we talk? But she's reading her book while I was watching this, and I was like just talking things, and she said watching a movie with you is like living the podcast. Just point out things here and there.
Yeah, my wife doesn't watch movies with me anymore. We just watch TV shows because, anyhow, probably the same reason.
So, okay, this movie would have been, it would have been easy to do post-colonialism. We're not,
For sure.
We talked enough about that, I think, for now. Feminism, you know what? We're not going to do that.
Okay.
So,
that's the one I thought you were going to do, so.
No. So let's do some psychoanalytic theory. But like, you have the id, ego, superego. You could say Indiana Jones above the ground in the beginning of the movie. That's like kind of like the ego. Things make sense. They have a rule here. Also, the club at the beginning is Club Obi-Wan.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's almost a blink and miss it type of thing. But my twin brother, he had a shirt that said the Club Obi-Wan on his shirt. Yeah. And he said people talked to him about it, which was funny. Oh, yeah. So the ego, it's like he's in charge, or like Indy's making choices. He's got control over it. But when he goes down into the world of the cult, that's the id. Yeah, he's lost control. It's the culties or the thuggies have all the say of what the rules are down here, and he gets hypnotized. He has become his like his dark self, I guess. There's probably a Freudian word for that.
Unconscious desire.
Yeah. So, but then he has to escape that in the end. Yeah. And he once again above ground. He makes choices again. He chooses to cut the rope on the bridge, which is actually really cool. It's cool. That's a cool thing. I mean, this movie is not... I would never say the word cool to describe this movie. Fun, silly, dark, and disturbing sometimes. That's the cool part, though. Indy, I'll drop the ropes. Doesn't matter. I have your people. Hold on to something. Anyway. Actually, there's a fun moment.
Let me just ask. So, Mola, why does he go on a bridge?
He should not have done that. That's a dumb thing he did.
Well, it's inexplicable, but anyhow.
Yeah, that's just because the movie needed it.
Needed him to die.
You could also... Here's some fun things that you could say. Actually, should I say it?
I don't know what you're going to say.
I know. I'm trying to think of like... You can say he uses the whip to get his way, basically. Yeah. The whip is a tool to with his ego, basically, to install his own version of the super ego. Yeah. You gave me a face. What is that face? What?
Well, I thought you were going.
I know what you're gonna say because I was gonna say it too.
If we're doing the Freudian thing,
it is
that whip
a
pretty obviously
a phallic symbol.
Yeah, and he uses that to get what.
That's my joke. Being an English major, being an English major 101 is everything is a phallic object.
Phallic object.
Which I didn't. I thought of that in class in college when we read a poem which mentioned a compass And the professor said that's a phallic object. I'm like, I guess anything is.
Yeah. That's what if you go into Freud at all, that's basically what you end up. Yeah.
That's what I was going to say, but I was like, should I even say that? He gets his way, but it's all about, like, the whip becomes his only tool, basically.
Yeah.
His
just like a man.
No, we'll keep that in. We'll double it. We'll have it in twice.
Yeah, Freud's a pretty disturbing guy.
Yeah, it's just like the whole thing with like the kids they don't have any control. The kids don't have anything, but they're freed. So this movie's with the psychoanalytic lens, it's about freedom. It's like you actually mentioned that. I thought of it back when you were talking about it, but it's all connected. We're a team here.
We're a team.
This movie is saying you need to free yourself. You need to, if you're in the id too long, you become a zombie monster slave.
Yeah.
And
do things that you don't want to do.
Yeah, and ditch the fortune and glory, in quotes, because what fortune and glory, but it's let's do the right thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. Not the best movie.
Yeah.
Man.
But the best bad guy, I think.
We'll see, because that's a fun argument that I don't think a lot of people will make. I am so excited for for Last Crusade, because Last Crusade is so good.
Yeah, I think if I remember right, it's my favorite one.
The guy in the book says the only good Indiana Jones movies are the ones with the Nazis in them.
That's probably fair.
We'll see, because there may or may not be Nazis in Dial of Destiny, and we'll see what you think about that one.
Isn't Crystal Skull is communist, right?
Yeah, like the 50s.
Aliens and whatever the other crap. Yeah, and Shia LaBeouf. I'm very excited.
So this episode, let's recap. Let's do like back in my day. Episodes used to recap the main ideas.
Yeah,
Today we learned about. Well, we touched on a lot of other things. I feel like you talked about how all these myths are connected to truth.
The monomyth. Hooray.
Whoa, we did it. We solved podcasting.
Anyway,
what else we talked about? I don't know.
The caste system. And how that plays out in non-Indian cultures, like
Yeah, because it's
the
real.
Existence of an unseen world.
Yeah.
Or not.
See,
I don't think it's that absurd, because if you look at like biology, for example, there is unseen worlds in biology. We don't even have to go to a cellular level. Like, you look in your backyard, there's whole dramas and the bugs and entire species and playing out in your backyard.
Yeah.
The idea of an unseen world is not absurd to me. And the idea that we are at the top of everything is kind of absurd, because if you look in your backyard, you go down and down and down, like you've got this ant colony warring that ant colony, whatever. Why do we assume that we're the top of the...
It's funny you say that, because I am right now in real life reading the Jurassic Park book, and Ian Malcolm literally has a rant where he says, to the effect of, the world won't care if people die.
Yeah.
Like, the world will keep on living, because life has always been here.
Yeah. So, anyhow, I'm sure if we want to keep playing with that idea, it'll come up again.
It will. Probably next week, probably. And then we'll do a Jason's Choice, and then we'll do the last two indie films. Yeah. And we will then reveal our next series after that.
Which will not be Transformers.
It won't. Oh, we know what it is. You probably forgot, but...
I might have. Anyhow.
Anyway.
Yeah. So thank you again for listening. We kind of went into some territory that we haven't ever been in. A couple
rabbit holes there.
We've never been in those before. I was starting to feel like we have these buttons that we push with every episode.
I know!
This episode we didn't push any of those
buttons. Get ready for that button to be pushed.
We have some new buttons, maybe. So,
anyway, we love you.
We do. Thanks for listening.
Think critically.
Please do.
Bye.